Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I have something special for you. This is a recording of the tournament finals of Titan Trials. And so this tournament had a very special rule set. And in this tournament you have to choose a hero and you have to use it throughout the entire tournament. You can't change the hero. But you can change the deck and you can change it from game to game and round to round. So the hero stays the same, but the deck changes. And I made it to the finals of this tournament with Aramia, and part of the reason I chose her is because she's very flexible. So I was able to play Irem against certain decks, such as Vic, who is kind of weak to Irem, and so against more of a weapon-based hero, then I could play something like either a Twilight Aramia or something else. And so, yeah, overall, Aramia has the option to go ally-based, has the option to play stall or solo, and she also is really good at techs. Is another great reason to run her, because what her ability is you pay for Shadow Energy to fetch any item from the deck. And a lot of those items can be detrimental to the opponent's game plan, such as Distortion Harness, and that card can send away the opponent's location while searching your own. So overall, she's very good at countering an opponent's hero, and she's very good at being unpredictable. And so those two reasons made her a good pick for me. Now, I knew I was against BD Kurbeka, and he was locked into Eladwin. So I did a couple of things to try and counter his deck, knowing that he was bringing another mage. First of all, starting with his hero power, which deals 4 ice damage to an ally and then freezes it. To counter this, I decided to run a couple of cards that remove negative effects. So there is the Paladin of Unaxio, which is an ally, reduces ice damage by 1 and fire damage by 1 to your hero and all of your allies, but also has a passive or an ability an activated ability that lets you pay 2 resources to remove a negative effect from an ally. So this is really good against mages because it's reducing the damage you're taking, but also against Eladwin specifically because it removes the frozen negative effect. Some other cards that I've been teching in this matchup are things like there's this one resource card that removes a negative effect from an ally, and it normally is not very good because not a lot of decks run negative attachments or negative abilities, but since I knew I was going against Eladwin, I knew it would be useful. And I'm Rejuvenating Ritual, that's right. So that's the card I just drew into here. And yeah, to fit in all these techs, I went with a Templar deck because I knew I wanted to run cards like Paladin of Unaxio and Rejuvenating Ritual. And so yeah, as you can see, I just played it there to remove the frozen from Unaxio Bannerman, and now I can use Unaxio Bannerman's ability to haste another Unaxio ally, and his effect stacks, which makes him really good if you can play him in multiples, because he'll actually give 1 attack to all of your Templar allies every time if a card is discarded that turn. But yeah, so I'm running the Templar variant, and this is kind of a forgotten about deck because Sosilo used to be a location that you play on turn 5, and it's crucial to this deck. So what Sosilo does is every time you discard a card, an ability, or a location, you get a draw card. And so you can see here, I'm using these effects that force you to discard a card, but I get a draw card every time I use it, so these actually are no longer really costs. And so you can kind of use these very expensive abilities that are very good, like Justicar Cape. That readies a Templar ally you control by discarding an ability, which would normally be a pretty expensive cost, but because of Sosilo, that cost is kind of negated because I just draw back the card. And you can see here, Knight of Unaxio has an ability that lets you discard a card to gain 2 attack and 1 health. And I can use that without really having to discard because I basically get to draw it back, and so I don't have to pay that hefty cost. So yeah, the Templar deck has been kind of forgotten about because Sosilo used to be a turn 5 location, so you only could play it on turn 5, and it's been buffed to turn 4. And so you can play it as soon as turn 4, which means that usually you can play your Unaxio Bannerman on turn 3 and then have the follow-up with Sosilo, and overall it is just a much faster deck. And it works really well for Aramia because the items that support this deck are very good. So Justicar Cape, Distortion Harness, which can search out Sosilo. These are all items that are very good, and the fact that you can fetch them directly from the deck makes Aramia a really good choice for this kind of Templar variant. So yeah, the Templar deck is kind of not so well known, but it can do some real damage. And here, in the context of this game, it looks like one of the downsides of the Sosilo and Templar deck is the fact that you kind of have to run a lot of cards. And the reason is you discard so many cards and draw so many cards that you actually run through your entire deck pretty quickly. And so what happens is if you aren't careful and if you only run 40 cards, you probably are going to run out of cards in your deck before you can actually set up everything correctly. So that's why I recommend for any hero actually that plays Sosilo decks to run at least 50 cards to make sure that you don't run out of cards. Now that is another reason why Aramia can be good because her ability, well, I don't use it in this match because I'm lucky enough to draw into Sosilo every time. Aramia can fetch Distortion Harness to search out Sosilo, so that is another great reason to kind of run her over another hero. So yeah, now with that high deck size, that means you are going to brick sometimes, and so here I didn't get a very fast setup, and that's going to cost me because BT Kurbeka has teched in these Priests of the Light, and he's using them to prevent me from fetching any of my items from the deck, which would have been really nice if I could have gotten a Pithing Spear or a Justicar's Cape a little earlier and maybe controlled the board better. And so him spamming Priest of the Light is going to mean that I can't get the ball rolling fast enough to stop his onslaught. So that's very well played by him here. Yeah, and so I guess one thing I forgot to mention is another reason that I chose the Templar Sosilo variant is because I wanted to run techs like Rejuvenating Ritual and others. So those are all abilities, and they're not very good except situationally. So the ability to discard them to draw a different card is crucial and allows me to run a lot more text than I normally would. So yeah, here in this match, looks like I may have recovered if I had a couple more turns, but Kurbeka rushes me down before I can. And so this tournament is a best of 5, and so here we go into the final match at 2-1 right now. And yeah, I didn't change my deck much from game to game, but you were allowed to tech. If I maybe lost another game or something, I might have tried a different strategy because by now Kurbeka has teched a bunch. And as he ran in the last game, he's starting to run cards like Sinkhole, which are not game-breaking for me. Like, it's not... I can usually get around that, but it is very annoying. And so yeah, in these kinds of tournaments, you have to be kind of wary of how your opponent is countering your deck and maybe try to change up the deck so that you aren't countered by their counters. So So yeah, but because I think this deck has enough natural ability to kind of shut down his deck, I decided it wasn't worth changing strategies entirely to something else that might not even work. But yeah, here he plays Sinkhole to get rid of the location, and that's going to really cost me because that's going to make it really hard for me to draw cards and off of discarding, and so yeah. Luckily, I have the double Bad Santa there, which is a really great way to get your drawback. Here I play Moment of Acquiescence, and this is a great card early game because what it does is it lets you discard a card to basically disable an opponent's ally for a turn, and also deal 2 damage to it if you control a Templar ally. So, so I don't actually kill his Unaxio Squire there, which may have been a mistake, but what I was really worried about was something like Supernova, and so that's a card that deals 5 damage to all of your allies. And I figured that if he had Supernova, then I would want to deal damage to his hero rather than kill one of his allies. But here he goes for a slightly different play that is actually pretty annoying, where he protects his Unaxio Squire from being killed with Brigette, which gives Protector. So I probably should have killed that Squire when I had the chance there. So yeah, and actually another mistake I kind of made was I searched for Justicar's cape. Well, it wasn't really a mistake, but earlier on I must have sacrificed my Distortion Harness, so it would have been really nice to be able to search the location here, because I've got Glimmer of Hope, which is an amazing draw card if you also have Sosilo, because it lets you draw the cards that you're discarding from Glimmer of Hope back. But yeah, without the location, you can see that my draw is starting to become a really big problem here. So yeah, now yeah, here I just go to play Paladin of Unaxio and Moment of Acquiescence. Now, I could have used Justicar's cape here instead of using Moment of Acquiescence to haste ready the Paladin of Unaxio, but I decided not to, and the reason is I wanted to save durability on Justicar's cape. So Justicar's cape lets you ready an ally, a Templar ally, by discarding an ability, but it also loses a durability from doing that. So saving that durability there, I felt was a little bit more important. And Moment of Acquiescence does basically the same thing for a discard. So yeah, here, this board, the board I have right now, does not look very threatening. I've got nothing, that can kill all of his allies at once, and only 1 durability on the armor, which is going to be destroyed this turn. But what I think is really strong about this deck, and a reason why I think Kurbeka may have wanted to maybe kill my Paladin of Unaxio instead of going face, is the fact that out of nowhere, you can really take back control of the board. So right there, my opponent had 3 allies on the field, but just using all of my abilities and such, I'm able to just wipe his board clean. And so, yeah, if you do not get rid of my board when I'm running this deck, you really can be in a lot of trouble actually pretty quickly. And here you can kind of see how the techs are putting in a lot of work. Honor Dead is preventing me from getting in range of lethal. Paladin of Unaxio is reducing the damage from things like Fireball by 1, and so it's going to be really hard for Kurbeka to deal that last few damage to rush me down that he needs in order to win this game. So yeah, but still, it doesn't look threatening, but here, because I've got Justicar's cape live, I'm going to be readying an ally every single turn, and so Kurbeka is going to see that his health drop really quickly, even though it looks like my board is not so threatening. So here, yeah, you can kind of see I'm on 6 health, and that would have been a lot lower had I not run techs like Paladin that reduce the damage from from fire damage and ice sources. But yeah, here you can see how powerful this deck is, and out of nowhere, I'm suddenly dealing massive damage to the opponent. Anyway, so yeah, that was the best of 5 there, and so hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.